A pastor has had it with flat earthers, and he wants everyone to just accept that the earth is round so we can all move on from this inane debate once and for all. So he organized an expedition taking a group of flat earthers to Antarctica in the hopes of converting them into so-called globe earthers, which is what I guess the rest of us are. And I get that energy. I feel like if I've said something once, I've said it 100 times. Just see something for yourself, accept that you were wrong, and move on. Ask your questions if you must, but at least move on from a place of better and wider and deeper understanding.
Hey guys, it's Matt. Thank you to Jay for bringing this to my attention. Apparently, there is a civil war that is taking place inside the Splat turf research community that's researching the shape of the Earth, the flat. I don't say that to be disparaging or to belittle. I say it, or I've said it over the years, to avoid a banner ad. I don't want that little marquee or whatever it is. It irritates me. And see, that will take anybody that stumbles upon the video, that will take you to the real information and away from crazy lunatics like me. So again, if I say splat turf, I'm not running anybody down. I would love to say flat, but I'll probably stick with what I'm used to. So the civil war that's brewing is Jeranism. Jay filled me in the best that he could, and I haven't spent much time watching the videos. Maybe you've come across some of this if YouTube feeds you some of the stuff that I hope, I'd like to say we used to investigate when we were jumping in the weeds on the reality trick and all the bullcrap that reality fed us. So Jeranism takes a flight somewhat recently. I'm sorry, Zari, it is not a good time. To Antarctica with other researchers. 3-hour video, all these pictures, they're on the ice. It was sent to me again by Jay. I watched little tiny bits and pieces, but this is basically the takeaway. I'm sure I'm getting a lot of this wrong, but essentially this is close enough. We don't need to know exactly. Jeranism had been saying the Earth is, flat for I don't know how many years, over 10 years. Went to Antarctica with this huge group, and I'm well aware of the Eric Dubé video, saying I'll get to that. Saying that, well, when we left, there was a lot of information, I think he would say here, that supports the globe. So he's coming off his position. It's not what he wanted to find or expected to find. Again, I'm sorry I didn't spend a lot of time on it. It's not like he's jumping back on the plane saying, I agree now with all of science and I love Einstein and everything anybody in a university has ever presented is now real. I don't think he's there, but I think he's saying there is more evidence than we thought of sphere, globe, whatever. Okay, I'm sorry if I got a little bit of that wrong. I don't think it matters. I didn't spend a lot of time on it, and I won't. Eric Dubé, a day or two later, comes out. Well, I must be right about that first part, because why would Eric Dubé be so intent on saying he's some sort of shill or it's all faked if that's not what the conclusion that Jeranism came up with, that there's more sphere evidence than he thought. Well, Eric Dubé comes forth with a video that says it's all faked. It's green screen. Nobody went to Antarctica. It's some sort of a green screen or a blue screen set. I don't know the exact details of what he's presenting either. It doesn't matter. Jeranism must be a shill. It's all fake, etc. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit more of the Yasmin's presentation from the Young Turkeys. And I'm going to come back and tell you why researching shape is a complete waste of time. Researching shape is falling for the reality trick, the main part of the reality trick, which is here to keep real spiritual beings, real souls, from doing what they're supposed to be doing with their life and the worry about yourself activities. Getting close to its breadcrumbs, getting in the weeds on any sort of this conspiracy research is falling for its trick. I should put Bill's poster back up. The 6th grade researcher keeps putting in time, thinking there'll be a final answer. There's no final answer in this reality. Knowing that there's no final answer is the final answer. It's similar to the wise man knows he doesn't know shit about shit. It's similar to that. Okay, there is no final answer. If you think you can find it out by taking a trip to Antarctica, you're falling for the reality trick. We've known this for 5, 6, 7 years or so. But the word, with 20 new subscribers a month, the word doesn't spread very quickly. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. I have to pause quite frequently because this thing is not recording again. And but back to Jasmine and her very impressive and professional presentation by the Young Turkeys, or for the Young Turkeys. I thought it was just that guy Senk. Was his name Senk or Chenk or Chunk, whatever? And he's still calling himself a Young Turk. Is he still there? Chunky Chunk or Chenk or Senk? Senk, you ain't so young, my man. How you still on Young Turks? You ain't young. I ain't auditioning for no Young Turks. I go for the auditions. People say, what toppings you got, old man? You need to step aside, Senk or Sinke or whatever your name is. Now, Yasmin, that's a Young Turk. Yasmin, if you're watching, I'd like to butter your muffin, as was said by Chet in Weird Science. Call me.
Well, Pastor Will Duffy organized the expedition called the Final Experiment, assuming that if he just showed people for themselves that they were wrong, that they would simply accept that they were wrong without trying to twist their brain out of being wrong. His goal was to prove to these flat earthers that there were no barriers preventing them from going to Antarctica and seeing whether or not the earth is actually flat. A common refrain in the flat earther community is that they won't let you go there to confirm whether or not the earth is really flat because they don't want you to know. Also, there's a big wall of ice that you cannot penetrate. They also have to go to Antarctica because the sun never sets there. There is a 24-hour sun down at the pole because the sun just goes around the sky all day because the earth is a sphere. Flat earthers don't believe this happens. Duffy said of the expedition, I created the final experiment to end this debate once and for all. After we go to Antarctica, no one has to waste any more time debating the shape of the earth. Anyway, the group documented their adventure, and in a video they posted to YouTube, one flat earth influencer, Jaron Campanella, actually admitted that he had been wrong all along. He said that he truly believed that the earth was flat, and now he no longer believes that. It's a bit sad that he only believes the things that he can see with his own eyes, but I suppose if you don't have a real background in science or whatever related field, everything feels a bit mysterious to you.
What did she just say? Yasmin? It's sad that you only believe what you see with your own eyes. But the second part, if you don't have a background in science, then everything will seem a bit mysterious to you. So to take a position on, say, the shape of the earth, or you need to have a background in science. Yasmin, you present it very professionally, and you look good doing it. Very, very, very nicely presented, but it didn't make any sense. Anyway, sorry. So back to what I was saying, guys. The most important point here, say if I had to get right to it, for those that don't want to stick with the rest of this video, is when we said many years ago the world has proved itself to be false. In this particular, well, it's proved itself to be false in 1,000 different ways, but related to this particular example, the world can show conflicting evidence to both sides of an argument, or in this case, two different types of researchers at the same time. Evidence that is valid on both sides. And in fact, those that are interested in hollow earth, the earth will show, or the reality will show the evidence that that person wants to find. If they're interested in toroidal earth, it will show that person what it expects to find. And if anybody's yelling at me as a graduate level truther, yes, it's not like the earth or the reality is a machine or a reality generation machine in and of itself, although we've called it that, as well as the conspiracy generation machine. It's coming from consciousness. It's coming from us. There is all is mind, the first rule of the Kabbalion. I could tell you a little bit about that, Yasmin. Call me. The first rule of the Kabbalion, all is mind. This reality doesn't exist without us. So you are the ultimate generator. If you expect to find splat or flat or toroidal, it will give you what you expect to find, at least up into a point. You know, somebody will come along and, well, I expect to find a mountain of gold in my garage when I go out there. Well, no, okay, don't take it too far. We can talk about the trick, the reality trick, and how it's Santa Claus. It sees when you were sleeping. It knows this about you. It knows what you're interested in. It's Santa Claus. It sees you when you're sleeping. It knows when you're awake. It knows if you've been bad or good. It knows if you've been researching Splat turf. And it'll give you more yellow breadcrumbs. It'll give you what you want to find. By the way, no real world could do that. No real world could do that. And once you get to the point that it's not a real world, then you stop researching it and acting like it's a real world.
Also, if you don't have a background in science or whatever related field, maybe don't become a science-based influencer. Now, his entire brand is compromised. He knows that his reputation will be torched by members of his now former community. In a way, he sacrificed his entire career by acknowledging that his entire career was built on a lie or at best a misunderstanding. Unfortunately, not all of the conspiracy theorists present were as easily convinced, despite, again, seeing for themselves that one of the core tenets of their belief system was simply and provably untrue. Austin Whitsitt said in the documentary, "I have seen a physical demonstration that could show this working, but I do think that some of the data we're going to have from this trip will help to clarify if that's what's actually happening." And in the comment section of the YouTube video, there was plenty of respect for Jaron for admitting that he was wrong, even though it meant he would lose his followers and influence, and lots of people were excited that this meant that potentially we won't have to deal with flat earthers for much longer. Of course, there were people who still refused to give up their beliefs, insisting a green screen was somehow involved or that everything was staged, but those people come with any territory. Videos, uncertainty, and distrust are all rampant. The rise of the flat earther movement was inevitable. People simply do not know what is real anymore, and the people who take the most fringe and the most strong positions on anything are the ones that get boosted in various algorithms. So it's not long often before the fringe becomes the loudest and most prominent voice in any movement. This is different from how the world used to work. But while I commend these few flat earthers for taking this trip and confronting their own beliefs, especially publicly, I do find it sad that people only choose to believe the things that they see with their own eyes and the things that they experience firsthand as real. That is an incredibly myopic way to live one's life, and it doesn't do much to foster empathy for others or respect for the work of others. Also, it's not a sign of intelligence that you always need to be right. It's absolutely fine and normal to admit that you are wrong sometimes. No human being has all the information all the time. I don't care how well read you are. Intelligence means understanding that you don't know everything and having the ability to adjust your existing beliefs when you're presented with new information that might contradict your previous beliefs. That's why, as imperfect as it is, people tend to trust science, which is flexible and plastic and malleable, over something like religion, which is stagnant and rigid. Intelligence is having the ability to incorporate new information into what you already know to be true, and then seeking the answers to questions that may arise as a result. Stubbornly proclaiming that you're right all the time is small-minded, and those people don't deserve to be your influencers. For the record, I am not an influencer, nor am I a role model. I'm just a woman with a job who is doing her best. But you have to ask, why do these people need to believe that the earth is flat in the first place? The same reason why people cling to any belief or belief system. It gives them a sense of control in their world. It helps them to feel as if they're not a sucker, even though their lives are probably, and I don't mean this as an insult, incredibly average and mediocre. Everyone likes to feel like they have a leg up somewhere, even if that's just in their own falsely inflated sense of self. And if I'm wrong about that, then I'm wrong. Alright, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.
All right, guys, let me take 1 minute to summarize what's going on. I don't know how all over the place this has been or how clear this is. Jaronism, we know, is a long-term, 10-year plus, flat, splat turf, sorry to say, researcher. Okay, science is a lie. What the authorities say is a lie. Eric Dubé is a long-term, flat researcher. Science is a lie. Einstein's a lie. Whatever. Okay. Jaronism takes the trip with a group of people. 3-hour video, we're on the ice, and this is not what we expected. There's evidence here that it is a sphere or globe or something like that. So Eric Dubé makes the video saying it's faked. You know, you can see anomalies with the shadows. I did watch some of his video, and it did seem like there was anomalies. But my point is simple. This is what reality does. Come get in my weeds. Come research me. You know, put Bill's poster up about the 6th grade truth researcher. You'll figure it. It dangles the carrot. You'll figure it out. This is the reality trick. Everybody that takes its bait is falling for the reality trick. To believe there's an answer, toroidal, flat, globe, to believe there's an answer is to fall for the trick. To ever get in its weeds and follow a Hansel and Gretel yellow breadcrumb is to fall for its trick and to lose. There is no answer. That's the answer. Okay? No real world can provide conflicting evidence on all sides, and I'll get to that. There's some that would say the evidence on the flat research side is so absurdly rudimentary. It's Matt, you're saying that's equal to science and all. I'll get to that if I can. I'll get to that. And then there's some in our own community, it's an absurd argument that it always comes. Then they'll say, Matt, there isn't one bit of evidence anywhere that it's a globe sphere. Oh my God. No, let me spend 45 seconds on that. No, there is not one bit of evidence anywhere yet. The math, I've talked about, the math is perfect. It's perfect to 100 decimal places. They can predict the return of comets 100 years away. Well, they can predict the movement of certain planetary bodies to the second. The Venus by itself proves. I'm saying a fake world gives evidence on both sides, and the evidence is in some cases somewhat equal and comparable. Okay, if you're digging in on either side, you think the evidence on the other side is absurd. Those that dig in on the flat side that say there's no evidence for sphere, I have almost never heard anything that dumb in my entire life. The math is perfect. Venus by itself, the fact that it's the morning star, the evening star, can never be seen in the middle of the night. The model of that by itself, quote, proves the scientific model of the solar system, etc. But quote proves. I don't think it proves anything. It's a fake world to me. If you've been here a while, you know my position on this. The flat researchers, although it has been much more rudimentary, scientific experiments, they're real experiments. Whether it be the laser test across the lake, proving 8 inches squared per mile is bogus, BS, to talking to a pilot. Hey, Mr. Pilot, every 2 minutes, do you have to push the stick down to stay? You're supposed to stay level from New York to Los Angeles at 30,000 feet. And the pilot said, yeah, we stay level. Well, to stay level on a sphere, you have to go down, or you go off. You have to go down. You push the stick down every 2 minutes, pilot, and the store's like, bye now, come back again now, bye. Get off the plane. No, I'm talking to the pilot. You're gonna have to wait. You have to push that stick down. Come on, He's like, the pilots, they were being honest. Like, no, we don't push the stick down. Well, obviously, it's that no pilot has flown a plane for 20 years. It's all automated. But back in the day, they don't have to push the stick down. Well, how does that work then? There's hundreds of these that support the flat side. Hundreds of these types of experiments and things that don't add up. There's weight and evidence on both sides. It's just like kingdom of heaven. It said, who has claim? All have claim. Who has claim? None have claim at the same time. So you don't just continue to get into the weeds. Let's do more research. Let's do more. Let's take your dinghy out. Is your dinghy fixed? Can we take your dinghy out and put that laser? You don't do any more experiments. You say this world isn't very real. No real world could do this. Show all this incredible evidence over here. We have ours, and nobody ever wins. That's another giveaway of a fake world. No, there will never be a winner. The Splat researchers believed for many years this is the most important aspect of truth, because one day we will prove it and everybody will see the lie of this world. And we know that win, or waiting for that sort of win, will never come. So as you get closer to it, meaning in this case, more research, you're falling for the trick. And Yasmin, please call me. All right, this final segment is the summary of the summary. I'll try to simplify everything the best I can, and I'll look to your comments if you think I'm absolutely out to lunch or full of shit. Apparently, the debate continues incredibly for shape, flat, whatever it may be. We learned, again, this is the summary of the summary, at a very basic level, we learned 6, 7, 8 years ago, whatever, the world isn't very real and has nothing to do with shape. It's proven itself not to be very real in hundreds of different areas. If you investigate on almost everything, it breaks down. You say, how could this be pulled off? How could that be done? How could that be covered up? It just can't keep happening over and over in a real world. And the debate or the research on shape is no different. So I don't know how many years ago it was. It was a long time ago. I came out and said, obviously, this is just the reality trick, or another facet of the reality trick. And if you take its bait and you continue to research shape, you're falling for its trick. And there will never be a winner. And you will, no matter what evidence it shows you, no matter how successful your laser tests are, whatever it may be, there will never be, even if it seems definitive to you, like certain laser tests have seemed definitive to those that took their boats out, it will never be enough to convince anybody on the other side. It will never be enough to convince your best friend. So it's the reality trick. And if this was all there was, then maybe this argument wouldn't be as strong. But it basically performs the same trick in the 1,000 different areas of what would be called truth research. Now, presentations by groups like the Young Turkeys, whether it be Yasmin here or Senk or Chunk or whatever his name is, they simply can't comprehend, in general, our side, a questioning of authority. As smart as they believe they are, and from an IQ intelligence quotient standpoint, I'm sure Yasmin and these folks are extremely bright. I mean, most hardcore liberals in universities are extremely intelligent if you give them some sort of standardized test. But they simply can't fathom our position, which is a general questioning and skepticism of authority. They will always resort back that what science is saying, what government is saying. There could be some corruption, and every once in a while, Matt, there's some bad actors. But overall, to question, you have something wrong with you to question it. And then, of course, we're just the opposite. You have to have something wrong with you to accept it. Because if I had a nickel for every lie we've been told by government, or a nickel for every authority that was wrong about it, I would be a multi-millionaire. You know, all the evidence is on our side in general, collectively. Again, right now we're trying to bring everybody together. We're going to be one with the Splat researchers. We're brothers from another mother. If you had a nickel, you know, Yasmin, the lies that have been told, I mean, we'd be multi-millionaires if we had a nickel. And somehow the position of the brainwashed liberals like the Young Turkeys is that if you question the authority that's lied to us about everything for our entire lives, that there's something wrong with that. No, whether the certain type of research about shape is right or wrong, those that are doing the research, which stems from a questioning of authority, Yasmin, a questioning of science, are doing exactly what anybody with a degree of common sense would do after being lied to their entire lives.